What was your biggest regret in life? Was it not talking to that dude or girl you thought was hot as hell? Was it not taking yourself seriously when it mattered most? Or was it that one time you projectile shat yourself in the elevator after the Taco Bell hit a little bit too hard, and then having to awkwardly stare at the now traumatized mother and child while you wait for your floor to come up? Just me? Okay. Well, apart from that one elevator experience that I refuse to elaborate on, my second biggest regret in this life is not cutting out the people who were supposed to be my friends much sooner. Now, in this video, I'll be talking about just that, all the while you watch me build this garbage greenhouse in my Minecraft world. If you enjoy it, feel free to subscribe, or just call me a loser in the comments if not. Anyways, let's get into this. So, what I realize nowadays that I didn't when I was much younger is that people are so fucking fake, and it's honestly crazy how uncommon loyalty as a whole has become. Like, as a kid, I always wanted to be that guy who was friends with everybody, was popular, and could effortlessly be liked by everybody. But now I look back at it and I realize that honestly, having a ton of friends is overrated as hell. And by living a life where you have dozens of quote unquote superficial friends, you leave very little room to actually make meaningful connections that are full of depth and compassion. So, let me tell you about my experiences with it and why I'm never going to be that popular dude. So, here's some of my background. So, like I said before, growing up, I wanted to be liked by pretty much everybody. At the time, I was a kid who was ruled in life by the perceptions of others, and it took me way too long before I could actually be my authentic self and learn who I truly ever was. And the biggest reason why was I was terrified of being judged. As a result of this, I honestly was a little bit of an ass kisser. Like, I never stood up for myself when it mattered most, and I would get used all of the time by the people who were supposed to be my friends. Yet, conveniently, whenever I needed the same support that I gave, they would all disappear in an instant, and worst of all, I had to hide my passions and basically be somebody who I wasn't in order to maintain my bullshit mask. But guess what? By wearing that mask, it was lame as hell, and so were the people I chose to invest my energy into just for that little bit of hope that I could rely on somebody else for once in my life. An experience that really stuck out to me that went on to show this was during my early years of high school. At the time, I was in a friend group that I had since middle school, and let me tell you, if they weren't some of the fakest motherfuckers I've ever met, then I don't know who else would be. During this period of my life, I was in an especially vulnerable position, and between navigating through my depression and abusive home life, I felt like I had to desperately hold on to every little bit of connection that I had, which led me to tolerating bullshit from everyone else so I wasn't abandoned. And in this quote unquote friendship, there was a ton of bullshit to say the least. Like a common thing that happened all the time was people shit talking each other behind their backs all the time, which included shit talking me. And it didn't matter how much of a good person you may have been or how nice you were, you'd still get shit on the same if you did anything that wasn't deemed to be cool. Like, for example, I remember there was this one time where I talked about wanting to pick up guitar, and instead of being encouraged to try something new, I was instead hit with, "You're gay as fuck for that, and it's not gonna go anywhere." Like, damn, bro. I just wanted to play some music, but whatever. Although, it gets a lot worse. Like, during that time, I was also not the most attractive dude either. My family was poor as hell, and I had to wear hand me downs all the time and basically eat processed shit that we got from the food bank. So, on top of not wearing the new bullshit designer clothes that were out at the time, I was also fat. So, I ended up being the punching bag when it came to their aggression most of the time. Every time I'd kill one of them in a video game, for instance, they'd say shit like, "You're a useless fat fuck who ate lard all day." And honestly, the worst part about it too was they'd then just exclude me from everything. They said that they'd hope I'd get a heart attack and that I was just going to be a fat loser for most of my life. And fortunately for me, that has not happened yet. Apart from the straight up insults, there was also a lot of micro behaviors that would honestly just be straight up disrespectful too. Like there were times they would all hang out together, but whenever I tried linking up, they were always quote unquote busy. When they literally would then post Snapchats of them all hanging out together. Whenever we were in a class together, they treat me well and ask for my help. Yet outside of that setting, whenever I wasn't of any use, I was basically dead to them. As I realized more and more that I was just being treated like garbage, I eventually reached my breaking point. One of the single biggest events that showed me who they truly were was when one of my friends in said friend group was struggling pretty heavily with his mental illness. The group would then shout on him every single day after finding out, calling him the same exact things that they called me. When he said that it was beginning to be a little bit too much for him to deal with, instead of apologizing, they instead doubled down on it and straight up told him that he shouldn't bother killing himself since he would just break the noose anyways. From that point on, enough was enough. I then decided to do an experiment. I decided to stop reaching out as a whole, and we've been in this friend group for 5 to 6 years to give a little background. Now, after deciding to just stop texting them as a whole, not once did they ever shoot me a text checking in to see how I was or what I was doing or where the fuck I even went. I wanted to know how long it would take for them to try and contact me, and I'm still counting the days. I had all the evidence I needed at that point that proved to me that they never gave a single fuck about me. Within that instant, my friend group dropped to a tenth of its size. My fears turned into a reality, and I lost pretty much everybody. But here's the weird thing: despite now being alone and not knowing how to proceed with everything, I now had a great opportunity before me. I didn't have to prove myself to anybody now since I had nobody. I could do shit for me now. And in the months that followed, I began to develop myself more. I ended up losing a lot of that weight, continued playing guitar, and actually got pretty decent at it. And I started finding my interest. Eventually, a year or two later, when I ran into them again at the gym I worked out at, the same fuckers who would trash me every single day, saying that I wouldn't amount to shit, were now complimenting me on my weight loss and the fact that I did the hobbies I did, despite them literally saying it was gay. When they couldn't find anything to shit on, they were suddenly buddy-buddy with me and wanted to catch up. Like, fuck that dude. There's few things that legitimately get me angry, but being a hypocrite is definitely up there. Any doubts I had at that point were gone completely. I knew I made the right decision, and so I ignored them. These were not the people who could be relied on, or even deserved to rely on anybody else. They were fake as hell, and I already wasted 6 of my years on them, and I wasn't going to waste any more. After the fallout of that entire event, I eventually went on to meet my best friend, who ironically they used to shit on too for being unpopular. Now, the thing I love about him was the fact that at the end of the day, he was always just okay with being himself. Even if people thought he was weird, and let me tell you, if you want an actually fulfilling friendship, be friends with the unpopular people who aren't afraid of being judged, because they won't judge you for being yourself too. But anyways, I met him in my freshman year of high school, and we are still going on strong years after graduation. Like, I only ever had 2 or 3 friends after that event, but not once have I felt alone in this world where previously I felt lonely as hell being surrounded by dozens of friends who were only ever superficial in the end. Like, if you feel lonely in your friend groups, then maybe that's your sign to reevaluate who you spend your time with. If you're terrified of getting shit on from the people who are supposed to be there for you, then maybe they're not your friends. And if they only ever reach out when they need something, then drop their fucking asses, man. You only need one person to make you feel at home, so find that one person instead of the dozens of people who wouldn't show up for you at your worst. Like, I wish so fucking bad that I never stuck around with the group that I was a part of for as long as I did, and it took me way too long to even realize what they were doing, let alone the fact that they were just shallow pricks at the end of the day. And it took finding that one genuine friendship to get me to realize how much I missed out on. And I do not want you to make the same exact mistake that I made. So if you have to question your situation, please listen to my advice and find the people who treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. But hey, that's my rant over with. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and dropping a like, and I hope you got some use out of it. And as always, until next time, take care.